In this episode, we have Jaime Vicente. Jaime is a business developer who is based in Kenya and who is working for a construction company called Centurion. Jaime, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Homa, for having me and for giving me this space, this wonderful space to share our international experience. I hope it's helpful.
Absolutely. I could not help but invite you to the podcast. And I want to first mention the story of how we met because it's super interesting. It's actually funny. I have a friend who recently got married, and I saw a picture from him in Kenya, and I was like, wasn't your honeymoon in a different place? I thought it was in Asia somewhere. And said, no, I'm actually visiting a friend here in Kenya. And I was like, no way. Okay, I need to meet that friend and I need to bring him to the podcast. And that friend was you.
Yeah, he told me when he was here that he had this friend having this podcast about people sharing their experience abroad. And I thought that's wonderful, very helpful. Yeah. Happy to be here.
Yeah, happy to have you. So, to put you in the map for the audience, can you briefly explain what are you currently doing and explain a bit about your background?
Well, like you said, my name is Jaime. I was born and raised in Madrid. I'm from Spain. And I lived all my life there. I studied business management in Madrid as well. And then I started working for BDO, a consultancy firm. I was working in prevention of money laundering. But after a year, I didn't like it. I wasn't feeling like that was the path that I wanted to take and that I wanted to follow. So I decided to quit and start a master's in international management in ICEX, and that's what brought me here. I did my master's internship here in Kenya, and then I stayed working here.
All right. I'm very interested about this ethics experience, which for people that don't know it is a program that, long story short, at the end you have an international experience. So you have either rotations or moving abroad at different embassies or working for Spanish companies that are establishing themselves in a different country. This is the high level that I have. Can you explain a bit more about this program?
Yes, the ICEX is the International Commerce Institute, let's say, and they offer this government-funded program, which is 3 years, like you said. The first one is the only one that is mandatory. The second and the third one are just voluntary. If you want, you can do them. So the first one, you just study for a whole year the masters in Madrid, in Spain. And after that, you have the option, like you said, of doing an internship in the economic office or that belongs to the embassies, no? In an economic office of Spain abroad. So basically, it's not 100% like this, but every country more or less that has a Spanish embassy, they usually have also an economic office. So you can go there and do the second year of this program if you want. So you get to choose above. When I did it, it was like we had like 95 countries available to choose. And after that second year, if you want, you can apply to Spanish companies that are looking for people that has studied this program, this masters, and that usually most of them are in Spain, but there's a bunch of them, a fair amount that are also abroad. So you get to work abroad for Spanish companies.
Okay. All right. Thanks for the explanation. It sounds so interesting for people who want to take that first step abroad because these programs help you a lot. So I understand your visa and all the paperwork is kind of handled, so you don't need to do everything by yourself, like applying in a different country from scratch. They are, let's say, a good bridge for that first experience abroad. It's actually similar to a French program, which is called Voluntariat International en Entreprise, but this program doesn't have the masters. You just go work abroad for a French company. So this is similar, but with the masters. I'm very curious because you said you have a lot of countries around the world. Why did you choose Kenya?
Well, the master's works during the first year that you're studying in Spain. There's like a ranking depending on your grades, your marks. And at the end of the year, you have like a classification that you know where you are at the ranking, no? And depending on that, you get to choose first or or later, no, at the beginning or at the end. It's not that I was at the end, and that's why I came to Africa because I had less options. No, I had many options, but I wanted to come to Africa first of all because I thought that to other continents I was gonna be able to go there maybe easily just for tourism or to find or for work. I think
Yep.
it might be easier to work in other places. So that's why I wanted to come to Africa. I felt also very curious about it. And then I chose Kenya because I got to talk to all the previous interns that were in Kenya and in other countries in Africa. And they only said wonderful things about this country and about the people and about the Nairobi, the capital, which is where I am. So yes, that's why I went for it.
Sounds super interesting. And it's actually a good framework. Let's say you can be around Europe anytime you can. It's easy to travel, but maybe not so much to Kenya. So why not? Why not go into an exotic country and live a different experience? And especially if you have people that you know and have told you about it. You were mentioning this criteria or this classification for choosing a destiny. If you go one step back in terms of criteria for application and the application process itself for ICEX, can you explain to us which criteria do you need to meet and is it a difficult application process, etc.?
Okay. First of all, I would say the application process is not difficult. It probably depends on how many people apply that year that it might get more competitive, no, or more difficult to get in. But the only requirements you need to meet is to be a citizen of a European Union country. It doesn't have to be Spain.
Oh,
If you're
that's
from
an
a country from
important
the
one.
European Union, you can apply.
Okay.
Then just to have a university degree.
Hmm.
So those are the two basic ones. Then you have also to present an English certificate. The minimum you need is B2.
Right.
You get, when I did it, it was 50 points if you get a B2. If you have a C1, 100. And if you have a C2, 150. Something like that. It goes with points, no? So once you have the certificate or the English and everything, you have two different tests. One is a psychometric test or psychotechnic test, which is 60 questions in 30 minutes. And then the second one is an interview, a personal interview. So those are the main criteria and the main process to apply. Everything takes place in around 3 months, I would say. So you have plenty of time to prepare for everything, and it's pretty easy. Yeah.
Okay. And it's a good point that you're mentioning that it's not only for Spanish people, which is also the same as the VA program, the one from France. Of course, in the VA program, French citizens get preference. It makes sense because it's a French program. So maybe in the Spanish one, it happens similar, but it's open for everyone in Europe. So that's a great opportunity to make your first move abroad. And then
Yeah.
talking about Kenya and talking about getting the job in Kenya, I assume you also needed to go through an application process for your current company, right?
Yes. I did it also this is my third year in this program. Like I said, it's 3 years, and I'm in the third one right now. So this process, it was just for the people from my master's that want to do this third year. No? So the list was smaller, no? The list of candidates. We had a list of Spanish companies that were looking for candidates from my master, and the application process, it was also pretty easy, just an interview. For me, I already knew the company here because I came last year to study, to work at the Spanish embassy here. So I already had got to meet the company and the director here.
Right.
And he told me that he wanted a person that was already here. So if I wanted to stay in Kenya and to work for them, I could just apply and the job was for me.
Okay, perfect. Did they ask for
So yeah.
any language requirement, like a part of English?
Eh, That depends on the country that you are. Here in Kenya, the official languages are English and Swahili. So they just wanted someone that could speak English, no? I'm also studying French because my company is also active in West Africa. So that's also helpful. But for being here in Kenya, they just only wanted someone that knew English.
Okay, makes sense. And regarding the work permit or the visa, I assume it was handled by ICEX, but do you know the specifics about your visa? How much time can you be there? And for example, if you can bring a partner or a family, how does it work?
The first year that I came to work for the Spanish embassy, ICEX handled everything, and I got actually a diplomatic visa
Uh-huh.
that lasted just for that year, which ended December 2024. And since then, I've been working in this company since March, and now they are the ones that have to handle the visa. And right now, I'm using a special pass because the work permit here is actually pretty expensive. And since now I have just a 1 year contract, the company decided to go for a special visa, which is another type of permit that just is valid for 3 months. And after 3 months, you have to do it again.
Okay, I see. So for traveling to Kenya as an European, you definitely need sponsorship from a company. It's not like you just can travel there and find a job.
You can come as a tourist, you can apply for a tourist visa, which is also for 3 months, and you can also extend them for another three. So you could be 6 months here as a tourist. And during that time, you can manage to look for a job, do interviews, no?
Mhm.
So at the beginning, I would say the best thing is to come with a tourist visa.
All right, I understand.
It's something very, very easy to apply and yeah, very affordable.
Okay. Then regarding cost of life, because I'm interested to understand how much money do people need to make a, let's say, a decent life in Kenya, because I understand the standards going from Europe, or maybe not the standards, but the salary ranges differ when going to Europe to moving to Kenya, specifically Nairobi. What would you say is a good salary range to have a decent life in Nairobi?
In Nairobi, I know this changes depending on the country. Kenya is the biggest economy in East Africa, and therefore Nairobi is a quite developed city and it's very different to other African cities. But I would say that here with between 1,500 or 2,000 euros per month, you can have a very decent life. You can have a very nice apartment or a house with a garden, have a little house with a garden, mm, and you can get to travel during the weekends. Kenya is a good country for that. You have a lot of options to go hiking, to do a safari, to go to the coast. So you can afford to have a good life here in Nairobi and also to travel around the country.
So 2000 net per month is enough to have, yeah, more than enough, right?
Yes.
Like you're not going to be rich, but you can do almost anything you want.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
it.
And for example, what is the price of coffee at a normal coffee shop? Coffee and a croissant, for example.
Coffee and a croissant, depending because since these products are not, well, coffee, yes, but croissant, no, and are
Okay,
not
coffee
African.
and a pastry.
Uh,
I don't know, like a snack, coffee and a snack.
I would say in the street, like in a local place in the street, very cheap. Like for a euro, you can get both, or for less than a euro.
Mhm.
But since it's a more developed city, there are more European places or more the
Yeah.
Western places, let's say, that you can pay 3, 4 euros.
All right. If you go to
For
a
yeah,
hip coffee shop, maybe you pay European prices. I understand. But if you go
yes,
local,
yeah,
it's okay, €1
it's very
for.
cheap.
All right. And for example, in terms of social life in Kenya, what are the main plans that you would do on a Friday night or a Saturday?
Like I said, here in Nairobi, very developed. You have a very nice nightlife, I would say, or with a lot of options. Now it offers a lot of things. There are lots of bars and some nightclubs that you can get into. Usually on Fridays, yes, I would have dinner outside with some friends, no, go out and then go for a drink or a nightclub after. Saturday, maybe just enjoy more the day, go to a park or stay at my place in the garden. Yeah, I have chickens now, so I have to take care of them. Usually Saturdays is the day of taking care of the chickens. But yes, Saturday night also going out. There are some bars that offers also like night quiz or quiz night or this kind of activities. So you have quite a lot of options. But yes, I would say these countries are very nice because the average age of the country here in Kenya, I think, is like 20 years old. And in some other countries in Uganda, it's 19. So there's a lot of young people in the capitals, in the cities. So it's a very active city during the night, more active than during the day, I would say.
Okay, I didn't know about that. It was totally unexpected. So there's actually quite a young scene for for social life. It's not like you will go there
Yeah.
and it will be difficult to make friends. In that regard, for you it was easy when you arrived, right?
For me, it was easy because also Nairobi, like I said, is very international since it's the biggest country, like the biggest economy in East Africa. A lot of multinational companies have their African headquarters in Nairobi. The UN has I think it's the second largest office in the world is here in Nairobi. So there's a lot of international people coming and going, usually in their 20s, their 30s. So yeah, it's quite easy to meet new people.
Okay, sounds great. Yeah. So having this environment of a lot of expats always helps because it's a lot of people that are in the same situation as you and they are looking to make new contacts and rebuild social life, let's say.
Yeah.
And for example, in terms of safety, when we speak about Africa, this is always a thing, right? Okay, how safe is the city you live in? You just mentioned that you can go out on a Friday night and it won't be an issue, right? Like it's mm, a common plan. You don't feel any risk for doing that.
You don't feel any risk, but you have to be very careful because Nairobi is very developed to compare to other cities in Africa, but that also means that there's a lot of inequality. And inequality brings a lot of crime also. So, for example, in Nairobi, when the sun sets, you cannot walk on the street, or it's not advised to walk on the street. No, so when you go out, here you have Uber, you have Bolt, so you can use it, but it's not recommendable to go walking from one door to the other, or from one bar to the nightclub or to the next. It's better to go by Uber
Okay,
everywhere.
okay,
Yeah,
that's an important one. So
yeah,
at night, yeah, don't walk alone and always use an Uber driver. But then that
yes,
contrasts a lot with being able to go out on a nightclub, right? Or going for dinner. Like I would not feel very safe if I cannot walk from one place
yeah.
to another. Is it
I
really
mean,
like that?
here it is. It is. It's not. Also, it's not like in Europe. Maybe that you have terraces or you go to a bar and the bar is on the street. Now here, everything is secured. So you go to the door, to the secure door of the restaurant or of the nightclub or of the bar. You get in and then you can be there. Also with the houses, all the houses are secure. So we have a guard in our little compound, and the guard is we have like 4 or 5 guards that rotate, and there's a guard 24/7. And
Okay.
we don't have the key for that gate. I have to knock on the door and say, "Hey, it's me. Do you let me in?" So everything is like this.
Okay,
It's
okay.
it's uh, it's very different to Europe. Yeah, yeah. So I get it, but you are never on the street having a beer on a table on the street on a terrace.
Okay.
That doesn't happen here.
I see. Yeah, yeah. I was able to picture from your description. So there are places, but they are like silos. They are like very separated and very segregated. So either you are in a safe place or you are not, and that's it. And you go from one
That's
place
it.
to
That's
another.
it. That's it. But
Uh-huh.
that's not just because I'm an expat and I'm living in the area of the expats. No, no, no. The whole city is built like this, besides the slums. Is the slums or this?
Okay.
So yeah,
All
it's
right.
just the way it works here.
And now that you mentioned this expat area, how is the city distributed? Is there a place where all the internationals are living, or it is really like you can move to any part of the city and it will be fine because you have a guarded place?
During the day, you can move more or less about around everywhere. You have to, if you get into the slums, you have to be careful. You have to, but even in the slums, you should be okay.
Mm. Slums,
During the night,
can you briefly explain what do you mean by slums?
yeah, slums are this. Here we have Kibera, which is the biggest slum in Africa. This congregation of houses made of it's about metal,
Like
no,
a favela in Brazil,
like a
something like
favela in Rio, in Brazil. Yeah, here
okay,
are the slums.
okay,
Yeah. So here you have around the city is surrounded with these slums, and most of the people live in the slums because actually Nairobi has around 5.5 million people, but the city is not as big. It's just because everyone is surrounding in the surroundings in the slums.
see, okay. So your advice for people moving to Kenya, like internationals that will be working in an office, will be for sure avoid the slums. And is there any
Avoid the
specific
slums.
area that they should target? As
The
you're
city,
not
like
in
you
the
said,
slums, it's okay.
as long as you're not in the slums, it's okay. But it also depends a lot on where are you gonna work because the traffic is crazy in the city
Okay,
during working hours. First hour in the morning and around 5, 6 p.m. where people get out of work, it's very difficult to move with a car. So I would say that work, live close to or relatively close to where your job is gonna be. But yes, there's also an area which is called CBD, the Central Business District. That's we could say that it's the center of the city, very local, very hectic, a lot of people selling on the street, and that's not quite of a very big residential area. So I would avoid that also. But there's some other places like Hileshwa, which is where I live, or Kilimani, some neighborhoods. Westlands is also a more famous neighborhood for expats because it's closer to where the bars or where the nightclubs are. But also, if you go a bit up north and you get closer to the UN office, that I would say is the most known zone for expats because most of them work for UN or for these international organizations which are based there. So the surroundings of that area, usually the houses are more expensive, but yeah, there's lots of expats there.
I see. And what is a normal price for rent on a monthly basis?
I would say for a nice house, for example, last year I was living in an apartment with we were 4 people in total. It was a nice area. It was a quite big apartment, very nice. And we paid each, we were paying like 350 euros per month.
Okay.
But depending on the area, for example, I have friends that live in the expats area, let's say closer to UN and this area, which is very nice because it's greener during the forest, so it's quite nice and the houses are bigger. And my friends pay around 500, 600 euros per month.
All right. I see. Well, that's really expensive. Like it's almost, yeah,
Yeah.
it's European price. Yeah, 600
Yeah.
for a room, not for the whole apartment, right?
For a whole apartment for you with one room, you might pay 1,000 or 1,200 euros.
Wow.
Depends on the area.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's really
Yeah.
European price. But I guess it's
Yeah.
a very nice one with a garden, with a pool, something like that, like really fancy.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. Coming back to the point of security, of safety, that one hit me. So during the night, you cannot walk alone. Okay, I understand. And during the day, it is truly safe to walk alone.
Yes, it is. There's no problem. There's no problem. You can walk around. It's perfect. You're gonna feel looked at because depending on the area, no, that they are, it's not that they are not used to see white people, but it's just less common.
Yeah.
So, for example, here in my compound, we are 8 houses in this compound. It's a very small one, very small houses, one next to the other, and we are the only white people in the compound. I'm in the neighborhood. If I walk around, maybe I see one white person. That's it.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah, yeah. I understand your point.
so you're gonna feel maybe will people come to you and try to sell you things, but it's safe. Yeah, it's safe.
Okay. Yeah, I think this point is important for people who are looking to move to Kenya because maybe they have very good reasons, and it's also important to understand what is the day-to-day life. And I'm curious to understand why is there such a big difference between daytime and nighttime? Is it because there's poor lighting on the streets or something like that?
For sure. For sure.
Okay.
There's no lights at all. Most of the areas are not lighted. And but yes, but there's also, like I said, a lot of inequality, so people know that there's a lot of expats. It's also not safe for local people, for Kenyans.
Yeah,
So they even recommend not to walk during the night.
I
Yeah,
see.
yeah, they don't do it.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And regarding local people, how was it for you to make local friends?
I'm still getting there. It's not gonna lie, it's not that easy. The local friends that I have are usually people that have studied abroad or have been in international environment and then they came back, or
Yeah.
they are more open, let's say. People are very nice in general, local people, but it's true that it's difficult to make true friends when they don't have this background. And sometimes you feel like they just want to interact with you, or for you to buy them drinks, or for you to
Yeah.
text you the next day asking for money. These things happen,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's normal, and I get it. It's the reality, there's a lot of inequality. So yeah, it's a bit difficult, but I think it's also very doable. So
Hmm.
no problem.
Okay.
They're very nice.
Yeah, I understand. Regarding, I mean, I asked about this question because I think making local friends is always the best way to experience the country you're living in. Because when you're coming from abroad, there's a lot of local plans that you will never know about, or there's a lot of things that are very specific to the city and that only a local know. So, in that regard, for example, what is one plan that you truly recommend to people visiting to Kenya that is not very famous on Google Maps or on TripAdvisor, something local that you like to do?
Well, here in Nairobi, I would say go to CBD. It's something people, I feel like they don't usually go. CBD is this area of the center that I said that is very hectic, very local. People usually are a bit scared of going there because you won't see a white person there, and it can be a bit intense. But I think it's the closest to an actual African city that you're gonna get here. And outside of Nairobi, I feel like sometimes people come to Kenya just to do the safari, or maybe they go to the coast, which is beautiful also. But I would say Lake Naivasha is a lake 2 hours away from Nairobi. I love to go with friends for the weekend, and every time friends come to visit, I take them there. I went with Godoy and Julia, with our friends, and I think it's a very unique place because there's only herbivores in the lake, and you can actually walk and do a safari walking, and you are next to the giraffe or to the zebra or to the hippo. So it's a beautiful place, and I feel like sometimes people, when they come from Western countries, they don't know about this lake, and they just go to do the safari or the. I would say also there's another this famous safari here is Masai Mara, which can be quite expensive. But I think up north, there are some also nice conservancies or national parks that you can go for a much affordable price and also see the same animals.
Sounds amazing. Yeah, I'm taking notes for when I go to Nairobi for sure. Yeah.
I can text
Mm,
everything later and give it to you.
amazing. Thank you. Talking about food, I'm always interested to understand which is a local food because for me, one of the best things about traveling or about living abroad is trying new stuff, trying new food. In that regard,
Absolutely.
as Africa has a very different cuisine, has it been difficult to adapt to local cuisine?
No, I wouldn't say so because it's not depending on the country. No, I think if you go to Western Africa, like Senegal or Ghana, or you have more gastronomy. Here in East Africa, or at least in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, gastronomy is very similar. Here, the diet is based on rice, beans, stews like baby beef or goat, and um, kale,
Okay.
spinach. They call it here sukuma wiki, and ugali. Ugali is this mix of It's just a mix of water and flour. So they mix it and they make like this dough and they eat it like raw. And most African countries have a version of this. Here in Kenya, it's called ugali. So they use it as a side to eat with everything. So I wouldn't say it's very difficult. The more complex dishes or different dishes that they have here, they are influenced by Indian cuisine because here in Kenya there's a very big Indian community. This was a colony. Kenya was a colony, a British colony for many years until the 1963. But during the 1800s, I think, end of the 19th century, they were building the railway here, and the British brought a lot of people from India to build the railway, and
Yeah.
they stayed. So there's a lot of dishes. They have samosas, which are Indians. They have chapati, which is this bread that is also Indian. They have pilau, which is rice with spices. They have curries. So a lot of the food that they claim it's Kenyan, it's mostly Indian. But the Kenyan food is mostly beef or goat, rice, and this ugali or spinach or yeah.
Okay. I
So
can
it's
see
very
from your
basic.
face that you're having a good time with food in Africa, that you're enjoying food.
I share your love for food also, yeah.
Amazing. For example, in terms of health, did you have any issues with food or everything safe? You can just eat whatever, it's no issue.
I mean, usually you can eat whatever. Here they have these local places in the street where you can eat, which are called kibandas, where you can eat for less than €1. Uh, It's it's crazy, and I like to eat there, so I risk it a bit more, and I've been more. But maybe you feel a bit under the weather for a couple of days, but that's also because I risk it more and eat on the street a lot. No, but if you go to any normal restaurant, you have no problem.
Okay.
Eh,
Okay, sounds safe. All right, great. Then I want to go to the part of deeper questions about living abroad. For example, one of the questions I like to ask is, how has living abroad changed how you see yourself?
Wow, good question. I feel like I've lost a lot of innocence. I think before coming here, I was more naive. I guess it also depends on where you go, no? But I feel like coming to Kenya, it was a bit of a shock, and it still is sometimes. There's a lot of misery, as you can imagine. So that has made me, yeah, a bit more pessimistic about the world and how, in general, things work in this continent. How the usual is Western countries coming to these African countries to exploit and then just leave. It happens with all the colonized countries in Africa, which are all of them. So yes, and you can still see it, no, how things work and how expats live in this city, for example, and how local people or a fair amount of local people live also here. So it's just yeah, a bit difficult sometimes. But I that's the bad part, I would say. But it has also given me, I mean, I wouldn't change it for anything. I feel like uh, more wisdom. No, I have more wisdom now, and I've made lots of friends that share my experiences here, because sometimes it's a bit difficult. No, when I talk to my friends back in Spain about this,
They don't
it's very
understand.
difficult to explain. Right? If you don't come here and see it and live it, it's very
Yeah.
difficult to understand. But that's something that's something that I think is very important to have friends here because you need to share and to talk about how you feel about living here, no, and about the controversial stuff. Or yeah,
Yeah. It's very difficult to understand how living abroad changes your perspective unless you have gone abroad. And it is also the reason why we connect so much with people when we are living abroad, with expats, with internationals, because everyone is in the same situation. Everyone has left home. Everyone knows what
yeah,
is building a life from scratch. And I think that's something you cannot explain. Of course, I always try to do it. And it's also one of the things I talk about in the podcast for people who have never moved abroad to impulse them, to give them this push. But I
Yeah,
think until you make that step, it's super difficult to imagine what it's it going to be. And in that regard, if you had a friend that is still doubting about moving abroad, what would you say?
don't be scared. Don't be scared. It's absolutely. I was gonna talk about moving to Africa. Like I feel like people in Western countries, I have this conception of that's very unsafe, or no, I would maybe move before coming to Africa. They would go to South America. I think South America is much less safer than Africa, no? But yes, moving abroad, I think is something should be mandatory for everyone. I think at least for a year or two gives you a lot of perspective, and it's going to change you, I think, in many, many ways. And you're going to be able to connect with new people in many ways that you didn't think. No, I think it's nice. I connect with my friends here in a very different way that I do with my family or with my friends back home
Yeah,
because it's a different yeah, we share a lot of things. No, like you said, there's a filter. When you come here and or I meet someone here, there's a filter already that says, okay, we have something in common. We both chose to come to Africa. We chose to come work here, and we stayed. We didn't come for tourism, or we didn't like it and left. We stayed. So
yeah. I love that insight. And it's so important. I mean, I would not say mandatory for everyone because it's difficult to force people, but I really recommend everyone to do this for some time because it changes how you see immigrants as well, which is also important. When
of
you're
course,
always living in your place and you see people coming from the outside, it's super easy to judge. It is easy to judge when you
yeah,
have not been there, when you have not been the immigrant. And once you move abroad, no matter which country you're moving to, you're the one that needs to adapt. You're the one that needs to start from scratch. You're the one normally that is asking for help because you are in a new area. So that's also helpful because the world is not only your city or your country, the world is constantly moving. And even more now in a globalized world, people are changing countries more and more. So being able to be that person, the person that will start from scratch in any country, that has the abilities, has the skills to connect with anyone, as you said, not only with your local friends from school that you've been 20 years together and you speak the same language, but also with people from the outside. I think it really shapes you as a person and you become a completely different one, as you said.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, totally agree. And I think that people that are asking themselves or doubting, no, should I do it? Should I go abroad or not? Just do it, and if you don't like it, you can come back, no?
absolutely.
Uh, and about yeah, for sure, and about the immigrants thing that you were saying, I completely agree. I mean, I'm here. I came by my own choice here, and I struggle a lot sometimes, and I feel lonely, and and it's not easy. I cannot imagine someone that has to go to another country just because they have no other option, because they are in war, because he's a refugee,
Exactly.
So yeah, I think it also gives a lot of empathy in that way. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is needed.
Great. Okay. We're reaching towards the end of the podcast. But before we finish, I want to ask you three quick final questions. These three quick questions also need three short answers. The first one is, which is your favorite local food?
Favorite local food? I would go for nyama choma. Nyama choma, it means in Swahili grilled meat, and it's like their barbecue here. So you can go to nyama choma places here, and you can get grilled beef, grilled pork, grilled goat with this local ugali sukuma wiki, which is the veggies or the sides, no? The ugali.
Okay.
So yeah, I would
Achuma.
say that one.
It
A
sounds
must
so
if
yummy.
you come here. Nyama choma,
Near
very
Machoma.
nice.
Oh, it
If
sounds
someone come
amazing.
here as a tourist, try it.
Okay. Then the second one is one book that you recommend, and it can be any topic, not necessarily job related.
I'm gonna say 1984, George Orwell, uh, because I think it's necessary to read that book again in the times that we are living right now. I would say it's yeah, very very clear book and good to read that and to have that in mind to see where we're going. I think.
It's a good one. It's still in my reading list. I still need to do it, but so many people have recommended it to me. I need to give it a try.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
And the last one is the best advice you ever received.
Be kind. Be kind. Yeah, for sure. I think it's not gonna do anything back to you, and it's just gonna open you a lot of doors in your personal life and in your professional life, for sure. Just be kind. I mean, the job that I got here right now, I just got it offered because I got on well with the people from the company that were already here, and we were just hanging around. I never thought of I would work here. No, they just came to me and said, "Hey, we have this option. We like you. You're nice. If you want, I think it's gonna open a lot of doors. So just be kind.
Yeah.
I
I
think
like
it's
it.
also necessary in these times that we live."
Absolutely, absolutely. Because I mean, it's simple yet powerful because everyone likes people smiling at them, right? Like everyone likes a nice face.
That's it.
But you also need to make the effort, right? You also need to be the one smiling. It
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
work
yeah,
only one way. So, yeah, be kind
yeah,
and help other people when you have the occasion. I
for
like it.
sure. And if I can extend a bit, I think in a professional way, people just want someone or prefer someone that is not maybe the best, but is going to be a good fit in their team rather than someone that is the best at their job, but is an asshole. So just
Absolutely. Absolutely. In the end, you work with people. Like, we forget that
yeah,
companies and interviews and everything is done by people. So with people, you need to match. You need to have that connection. It's not a one-off. If you're
yeah,
working every day, you need to be that kind of person that is able to get with people. Otherwise, we'll just hire a machine, right? Or hire artificial
that's it.
intelligence.
Yeah.
I like it. All right. Okay, Jaime, it was a pleasure to have you on the podcast. I think you got a lot of good tips about Kenya for anyone who is doubting about moving abroad. And we will also leave your profile so any quick questions
Yes, please.
can they can draft you a message. And
Perfect.
I'm sure you will have a good career ahead because we always talk about moving abroad, but me everyone, included me, normally tend to go to a country where everything is easier. But in your case, you chose a different way and you're able to manage. So I think it will be an interesting career path, the one that you will take.
We'll see. We'll see. Thank you so much for having me, Juanma. It was my pleasure. Hopefully, we'll meet in Spain, in Kenya, or
In
in
Kenya,
Switzerland.
huh? Absolutely.
You're more than invited.
Thank you. Thank you, Jaime.
Thank you very much.
If you enjoyed this conversation, follow me and share it with someone who wants to move abroad. And if you are on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, please like and rate the show with 5 stars. It helps me a lot more than you think. Thank you very much and see you on the next one.